Good morning, my name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here on the 29th of June. Hot flush, all of a sudden. Yeah, the moment we say what day it is, what time it is, what are we doing? We're opening ourselves up to realizing where we actually are. And we talk about presence, right? There's so much trying to come in. We talk about presence, but unless we can be in our body in the moment that we find ourselves, nothing really shifts or changes. My name is Kirsty Dignam. I know that much, and I'm here on the 29th of June to look at the energies for the week ahead and how to best navigate them. And that will come through. I was going to say can, but no. Let's get honest here with what we know. Okay, that will come through because it's how I work in a multitude of ways, with a multitude of guides, with a multitude of tools, with a multitude of perspectives, which is the invitation we're all being encouraged to look at this week and how willing we are to open up to it. To be honest with you, the moment I started this video or prepared to start this video, two things really came up. First and foremost, when I always do a test recording now, just for a couple of seconds, because I've learned from experience. Again, another pivotal thing to think about this week. Many moons ago, I recorded a whole video, which was really, really good. The information that was given was so beautiful, and my sound wasn't plugged in. So none of it got recorded unless you were very good at lip reading, and I didn't want to take that chance, so I started again. So ever since, I make sure that the wires are in and that things are connected before I speak. Another emphasis this week. To really feel where we are is one thing, and that actually there's big shifts coming with the higher heart here, because the moment I breathe in, there's quite a bit of shifting energy right here between our higher heart and our throat that can be painful, particularly this week with so much going on in the sky, which I will get back to. Spending some time soothing this week is going to be really, really important, but also remembering that we breathe with our belly. The more we can breathe down into our body with our belly rather than up here, we're opening our vocal cords, we're opening ourselves up as a vessel for the information to come in, and we're opening our root chakra, which can really connect us down into the earth, which is really, really important. Two things that came in was to make sure that the wires were connected. Now, I don't just mean my computer. For those that know me, there's a lot of metaphorical speaking, yes? So I mean the wires in our own brain, our own lymphatic system, our own endocrine system, our own nervous system. Over the next few weeks, we have Mars going into Gemini. We have Uranus doing some wonderful, incredible things. So think Heyoka energy, think thunder being energy, think innovative, cautionary energy. Now, by cautionary, what I mean is be in what is occurring. The more you can be grounded in what is happening, the less shock-like things are going to be. It's an opportunity to turn things on its head and look at things from many different perspectives and many different angles. More importantly, how open we are to that with ourselves. So, connecting the wire, not connecting the dots, connecting the wires, connecting our physical body to our higher self, to the reflection of source that it is, not just externally. And I need to be aware, and that's another encouragement this week, be aware where our own frustrations are stopping the message from getting through. So I am aware that I'm frustrated, that I'm repeating the same thing. However, things take as long as they take to unfold, to be received, to be accepted, to be walked away from, to be changed, whatever that may be. So yes, I am frustrated that for me, this is the basics, right? This is being aware of our environment, being aware of ourselves within the environment, being aware of the reflection that we bring into the environment and the environment brings into us, and vice versa. Thank you. Being aware of our connection. Okay. When we point things out there, whether that is source, whether that is other people, whether that is the reflections and reactions of others, it is an opportunity to look at what's going on with ourselves as well, not from an egotistical perspective that everything that's happening is just because of us, but as an invitation to see where we are. To connect not the dots but the wires, the relationships. Why is that important? Because if we don't, we are continuing to react from a separate wound, a separation mentality. Now, over the next year, we're going to get lots coming up with worth. We're going to get lots coming up with abundance. We're going to get lots coming up with our connection to the earth and the mother wound, scarcity. They're all of it comes down to the separation wound. Us and them, the earth and us, the weather and us, God and us, money and us. Everything that has been separated will lead to a lack mentality, a scarcity mindset, because we are all related. And if we want to connect any dots, if we want to rewire any systems, be that our own brains or the systems that are at play at the moment, the best way to do that is to acknowledge we are not separate. So back to, I ensured a bit of a tangent there. Trust the tangents, okay? Trust the tangents, but trust that they have a beginning, middle and end. Make them relatable, relevant to where you are, or move on from them, okay? Because there is a temptation with Mercury going backwards into Cancer. There is a temptation to go over old ground, which is wonderful if we are nurturing and the way forward. If we're going over old ground for the sake of going over old ground, yes, that's going to get frustrating because it's limited by our perspective, it's limited by the outcome, and it's limited by the evolution of something far greater than all of us that's trying to come through. Reconnecting the wire to my camera, making sure it was plugged in, I noticed there was a slight lag, or there felt like there was a lag between what I was saying and the speed at which my lips were moving. Which is very interesting, quite surreal to watch. And we're going to see that this week. We're going to see a lot of surreal activity. Yes, a lot of disclosure. Yes, a lot of things asking to be seen that may feel, that will cause emotional dissonance, that will make us think, hang on, what world are we living in? Or has the opportunity to encourage us to look at the world we think we're living in and how open we are to something different. Now, this can be on the big global scale. This could be disclosure of things that many people have known, okay, but that is coming to light more. And don't get caught up in the I already knew that type energy, because it's very restrictive. There's so much that we don't know. There's so much that we don't know, and so much that we're missing out on because we believe we know it all collectively as a species. As a species, we're very young, very young in comparison to the age of this beautiful, beautiful earth. And even that is not a get out clause. My sister has this great phrase, it's a reason, not an excuse. So it's not a get out clause, but it is an opportunity to have some compassion for ourselves and for each other, which is hard. The other thing I noticed, the other thing I was going to share this morning, when I tuned into the video, yeah, I felt quite aggy towards some of the things that I'm seeing play out from energies and situations that I personally would believe have the experience and wisdom to know better. Now, by know better, what I mean is not what is happening is right or wrong, but we can get so caught up in our own stories. But then we all get lost. We all need compassion. We all need somebody or something, a reflection to say, hold on a moment. Have you thought about X, Y, and Z? Now, that's not to say we have to change our mind, but particularly if we're constricting our energy. Those observations around us can be a chance to say, breathe. I've got a bit small there. My mentality's got a bit small. My connection has got a bit small. Something's not quite as vast as it could be. It's going to take compassion, and it's going to take humour. I have the most beautiful, beautiful friend. Adele, if you do watch this, thank you so much. Your message was so poignant and so needed this morning. Just as I got frustrated were some of the things that I could see, and the thought of having to go over them again, just as I got frustrated with myself for not having compassion, just as I got frustrated with everything. My dear friend Adele sent me a video on Instagram that said, word of the day, astronaut. People who have their head so far up their arse they're disconnected from the earth. And I could see that around me, and I could see that within me, and I could see the necessary humour. It's tough. It's been really tough. I don't know about anyone else, but this weekend, oh my God, which I will get into, this weekend has been, in a very, very different way, in a very to the core way, a wonderful chance to really look at where my own head was up my own arse, you know, and the impact that that's having in regards to my ability to believe in the dreams that I have, in regards to being vulnerable, in regards to, you know, the big difference between oversharing and vulnerability, right? In regards to how much information I was willing to see, and from where, my own included, my own connections included. Yeah, this weekend has been interesting, and it's going to get more interesting. So let me just have a drink. Cheers. Being aware of what there is to celebrate is going to be really, really important, okay? Picking your battles, really, really important this week. Prioritizing your time and your energy, particularly if what we are sharing, whether that's on social media, in our everyday life, or with ourselves, is to try and get a point across. Where is that point coming from? Really, really ensure that we're aligned, okay? So this week we have Mercury going retrograde. We have this ongoing joke in my family whenever anything between me and my bonus daughter and my husband, whenever anything is slightly off kilter, my bonus daughter will say, "Oh, it's not Mercury in retrograde, is it?" Because look, the messenger often gets shot, yeah, in the foot, or we can shoot the messenger in the foot this week if we don't really feel into what is going on, okay? And I can't help but smile. One of the things I've noticed the last few weekly videos, despite, or maybe perhaps, what is occurring in the collective, the cards have suggested very positive energies. And my brain has been like, no, that's not right with what's going on at the moment. But actually, that's my brain. As we move further into the next few months, it's really our heart that needs to take centre stage. It always has been, but in particularly this year with the year of the horse, it's the heart coherence that needs to take centre stage. So Mercury went retrograde today in Cancer. All those emotions, all those feelings, all those, and it's not just the sludge of the soul. You know, there's some good things that are rising as well. An example, yes. This morning on my time hop, my husband's time hop actually, excuse me, there was a memory of homes that we were looking at in Cornwall. My screen just flickered then. In Cornwall, with a field and stables, and I'd completely forgot that we went to look at these properties. And what's more is I forgot that we went to look when we had no work, no experience, no money, massive family ties, and basically would never be able to do it back then. But we still looked, and we still dreamed, and we still tried, which at a moment now when all of those things are a lot more balanced, this memory came just at the right time for me to realize that there's never a right moment, which we all know, yeah, but actually to acknowledge how ready we are, to be open to how much we have learned, how much we have experienced, rather than focusing on what we haven't, individually and collectively. There's no separation here. There's no separation, and any separation, we're not going to like it, right? Now, I'm not saying if somebody's a twat, that makes you a twat. But there is an opportunity to look at why you may feel they're a twat, why you may be getting frustrated with them. A lot of the things I was getting frustrated with this morning, with the feeling of actually these situations have really done so much work here. Why are they going over this? Why are they doubting themselves? Was a reflection of myself. Okay. if we can allow these memories to rise, to show us where we may not be, recognizing, acknowledging, appreciating, and celebrating our growth, then some of the things we've been trying to achieve for the last decade or more, that could just be the turning point. That could just be the beauty of Mercury and Cancer. Yes, it's related to homes. Yes, it's related to emotions. Yes, it's related to nostalgia and da 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 da. This is surface level now. We've all gained more experience in our awareness to take it that bit further if we want to. That's the emphasis here. Being honest with ourselves. Do we want that transformation? Do we want that change? And that does mean coming into the hot flush of presence, the burning energy of transformation, the rise and connection of being in our body and being with the earth, and allowing that, doesn't matter if you call it Kundalini or Salka or light or whatever, soul, whatever you want to call it, that's rising up. It can come through in anger. It can come through in force. It can come through in beauty. It can come through, however it comes through, it's an emotion. It's an emotion, okay? Let your body express that. Notice where there's any lags. Notice where what's coming out of your mouth may not be in alignment with what's happening with your body. Just through your own awareness. Ensure that those wires are connected. Yeah, ensure that there's synchronicity there from your soul in physical manifestation. The earth has sped up. If you connect to the earth, you will feel it. Her vibration sped up a long time ago, and we're still catching up physically. She sped up hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and we're catching up because we're a young species. So be with that as much as you can. Let that shift whatever's going on for you, and then share. Be aware. I've always said it, but be aware more than ever where you are sharing from. Now, I noticed that I'm going to run out of time on Instagram. So the other things astrologically this week, yes, we have that full moon in Capricorn. There's a blog out on my website already about it. There's so much information out there. Feel into the traps that you're falling for. Not from a point of beating yourself up or berating yourself, but sometimes we put ourselves back into situations because there's things there we have yet to bring forward. There's wisdom there we have yet to bring forward. All the time we're pointing outside of ourselves, we're never going to get that. Okay, so there's a big emphasis with this Capricorn full moon to not only come into the body, not only quote unquote do the work, but to really feel into what opens your heart, what your truth is, to bring back some of the distractive energy that has gone out there trying to ensure that other people are on the same wavelength in order to give ourselves permission to be who we are. The other thing we have is Jupiter in Leo, and I can't help but smile on Tuesday. I have Jupiter in Leo. It is heart expansive, okay, which is beautiful. To expand the heart is a beautiful thing from joy and happiness, and when we're used to it. When we restrict that, which we all do from fear or doubt or guilt or shame, it can be quite uncomfortable. We can be stretched. We can be given the opportunity one way or another to open our heart. And yes, of course, there's victory there. When you think of the Six of Wands, when our heart is open, we are victorious. But what does that mean to you? What is victory to you? Is it having everybody agree with you? Or is it being able to stand in your own wisdom amongst many different perspectives and know that yours is just as valid? One of the big things that's going to be coming up with Jupiter and Leo is our roar, not our roar. As we go into the Lion's Gate, yes, that's going to be important, but this isn't about our roar. This isn't about, this is about our roar. You know, the sun god, our light, being open to that. Now, for the rest, you're going to have to pop over to YouTube because I'm going to run out of time. So I shall see you there and look into the energies for the week ahead and how to best navigate them. That went really quickly. For those that have been on YouTube the whole way through or joined me from Instagram or wherever you come from, good morning still. Gosh, so information can come through quickly We can share it quickly, but time is actually giving us space and time if we connect to our body. Okay, so one of the things I have noticed over the last few weeks is the amount of potential that's coming in. Probably related to Jupiter and Leo, probably related to Mars in Gemini, probably related to it all, but regardless, we are expansive enough to receive it now, which is a beautiful thing based on the experiences that we've had. But in our heads, now I say in our, let me own it, in my head, I don't know about you guys, I can't speak for you guys, but in my own mind sometimes it feels like it's too much. It feels like there's so many things out there that we could be doing that there is a temptation to stick with what I know. Yeah, feeling into that this week. How open are we to see different perspectives, but more so the vision we have of ourselves? I've waited to do this reading. I thought these were coming on the tomorrow with Jupiter and Leo. That would make sense to me. Heart expansion, you know, really opening myself up to my own potential. Yeah, but they didn't. They turned up with Mercury in retrograde in Cancer, in our emotions and our psyche and our connection to the waters of life, connections to Sachamama, to the healing, the serpent, yeah. The Shaman's Tarot by Alberto Villoldo with Patricia Gift, and the artwork is by Boris Quinteros. I do hope I've said those words right. I haven't looked at these properly yet. I have had a small glance at them and looked into the book. The reason I looked into the book is some of the imagery on these cards are very much linked to the Peruvian shamans, but their explanation in the book doesn't mention it. So there's one card in particular, the Three of Swords, which we know as heartbreak, right? Which we know as, or heart expansion, or for me, it very much comes through with the sacred heart as well. Normally, it's a heart with swords in. Now, in this deck, it depicts a despacho. It depicts a offering of gratitude, of love, of wisdom and experience, but also a crossing over, you know, a release as well. But the book doesn't mention that. Now, the reason I share that is because the invitation this week is to feel into what we do already know, not just what is written, not just what we are given, regardless who we are or what we are given it by. We can often get caught up, particularly with the tarot or with guides or with, thank you, sources out there that we believe are more evolved than our own, and take that as gospel. But the invitation this week is to bring it into the information into our body and to bring forth our version of the interpretation as well, owning it, acknowledging it, recognizing it, collaborating with it, integrating with it. So if I say such and such and such and such, feeling into why I may have seen it that way, why I may have voiced it that way, and also then what's going on for me. Now, this isn't so that we can take responsibility and cut ourselves out of the equation. What we're feeling is just as valid as what we're receiving. They are one and the same. We're not there yet as a species. We're not there yet to acknowledge that vast potential, but that is the opportunity. There's going to be a lot of disclosing coming through, a lot of different versions of energies coming in, and we're going to realize that we're more related to them than we've been willing to admit up until this point. Okay, so what does this say in the box? Heed the sweet messages from Spirit so you may dream a new world into being for yourself and for Mother Earth. Yeah, you know, like, I know I do these videos every week and we look into the energies. The emphasis has always been how to best navigate them. We can seek information and it can bring things up for us, and it can bring clarity and it can bring healing, but it must be applied. It must be applied. Otherwise, we never finish the circle. We never complete the cycle. The invitation this week is to really sense into things that may be coming up, that may be rising back up to the surface, for us to look at where things may just need tweaking in order to complete that section, that chapter, that cycle, that awareness, that thank you. consciousness. Consciousness is a living entity that we are continually adding to. Are we adding the same thing and expecting a different reaction? Okay. Big shifts in the heart center. Big shifts in the thymus. Don't forget to breathe, and don't forget how to breathe. Bring it right down into your belly. Bring it right down into your root chakra. Come right down into your body. Okay. And I'm going to use these cards, and it is the first time that I'm going to use these cards. Be mindful that it may feel as if it's the first time we've seen something or connected to something in a certain way, but there is a great wealth of wisdom within us, within our DNA, that we've yet to tap into as a species. So give yourself more credit. Have fun. Stop trying to figure things out and give yourself more credit. Yeah, let go of the need to prove. It comes from a place of judgment. We're not here to prove anything. You know, I remember working with Isis, the goddess, sat by a beach, and I was meditating, and I just saw her in my mind's eye. And one of the things that I received was, you're not here to show, what was it? You're not here to show the beauty of the world to people, but help them remember it within. We're not here to define the wisdom that people take on board as their own. We're here to help them remember it for themselves. Now we have the Empress and the Nine of Swords at the bottom of the pack. Now I'm going to show you these. So normally the Empress is very, well, she's pregnant, right? In all the other decks, she's pregnant. And it's that constant birth and conception. It's that, yeah, for too long we've seen the Empress or the feminine or the earth as this constant creative cycle, in the way that there's always something to be had, something to make, something to gain. Okay, we take from the earth way out of balance to what we give. Okay, we see women as these abundant, wonderful creatures that give birth to life, and any other stage is very less important. In this deck, the Empress, she has a youthful look to her, granted, but you can't quite make out her age. For me, at the moment, the reflection of her is a crone, because that's where I'm at. So acknowledging how, thank you, you see the earth as a reflection of where you are. There's no right or wrong in that. Okay, but it doesn't matter who gives you the information, where you get the information from, why you may feel the way that you do. It's still an interpretation, is an interpretation of the information. So take pride. It's not accountability. It's take pride in what you're seeing. Take pride in what you're sharing, what's being reflected to you in your own understanding, because it's valid. And that's what we're all struggling with collectively. Is my thing valid based on the opinion of others? It doesn't matter. It's valid, and it's being asked to be shared from the earth in whatever way it's being asked to be shared, whether it's looking after your children or passing a message on social media. It's being asked to be shared. You are the creative vessel of the earth, not the other way around. Okay? It's being asked to be shared. It's valid, but it is a reflection of you and where you are in its interpretation. And that's a beautiful thing. That does not need judgment. That does not need other people to agree. That needs to be spoken with your authentic, prideful, heart expansive self. I see the crone here. I see rainbows of colour. I see the psyche, the collective consciousness flowing. I see the hummingbird in the bottom of it all, the joy of the ancestors that is coming forward saying, you found your voice. How beautiful. Now help others to do the same. Excuse me. Underneath it we have the Nine of Swords. Excuse me. And the Ten of Swords. There's a temptation here to jump ahead. Where are things going? And that's what seems like it's making the difference between the 9 and 10 of Swords, but it's not. It's getting us collectively caught in this backwards, forwards, anxious, almost like betrayal energy, betrayal to the self, not speaking our truth or feeling as if we need to prove that. And that's really painful behind the third eye. It's blocking any vision, and it's very congested in the ear. It's blocking any vision. It's causing tension in the jaw, which if we cause tension in the jaw, that's the same cells of our pelvis. So we're causing tension in our pelvis area, which is our creative and our rooted area. It's blocking the third eye. It's stopping us from being able to listen. Be with the discomfort. Be with the frustration here. Yeah? Be with the frustration of the Nine of Swords. In this card, the Nine of Swords, the swords are actually making up the home. We're being called back into communities, to look at the communities we find ourselves in, to recognise what we have built, not in a judgment perspective, but to recognise what we have built and where it may not have gone how we would like, or honouring and acknowledging our own expectations of it here. Only then will we see it for what it is, for what it truly is. The Nine Swords have made up the home. We've built upon this constant mental loop of, I don't know what to do, I'm just going to blah, 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 get frustrated with it all, and then feel as if I've been stabbed in the back, as if I'm not getting anywhere here, as if I might as well give up. There's a loop that we're caught in, and what's underneath it all, other than judgment and the Page of Swords? The Two of Cups. We're not separate from each other. We're not separate from what's going on and what's being reflected back. If we're getting frustrated with the situation, look at what it is that's frustrating us from within. Did we expect things to be different? Did we expect things to be more evolved? Did we think we'd built a stronger community or a stronger, what were we expecting? What have we built? You may find that you're somebody that's really, I love depth. I'm very, very serious. I love to see the intricate web of life. When I then act as a joker, people get quite surprised. It's like, oh, Cassie, but that's still part of me. Okay, for the most part, my community know that. But there are times when people are like, oh, I expected you to, not cuss or not da-da-da-da-da because you're spiritual or this, and this. Well, that is their perspective, but it also brings up part of me that is a little bit, sometimes should I be more serious? So being grateful for those things that are rising, recognizing that we are united. In this card, it's not about the cups. They're holding hands. They're not sharing cups. This isn't about topping up your cup before you feed others or da-da-da. Don't top up your cup before you feed someone else's cup or top up someone else's cup. Show them where to top it up. Their own source of emotional sustenance or faith or strength or hope. If you're somebody that is hope to everybody and then you waver in that hope, which we all do, that's going to cause a knee-jerk reaction because people have relied on you for their own hope. That's what needs to change. Okay? It's not, we can all wobble. We can all wobble. We're all entitled to wobble, and that builds core strength. Acknowledging where people may have been over-reliant on you or you on them for recognition, for authenticity, for responsibility. Breaking that loop, and it's a mental loop, guys. It's a mental loop here, because underneath it all, if we go back to the reflection of the earth and what's being shown to us about ourselves, we have judgment and the Page of Swords right under the pack. So it feels important to shuffle the pack now, to look at the week ahead and how to best navigate it. But underneath it all, if we cannot see the judgments that we have on our own connection, which is very young, I don't care how many lifetimes you think you've had, I don't care how old you think you are, we're still very young in comparison to the earth. Very, very young in comparison to the earth. So it would do us all good to stop, drop, connect, and listen. Shall I just leave it there? We're 34 minutes in already. Gosh. So much information coming through. Siphoning through what is the same. Actually, none of it's the same yet. None of it's the same. Our interpretation of it is. And that's what's making us feel as if we're overstretched or that we don't have enough time. Our interpretation of something needs to be more expansive. Yeah, stretch those jaws. Move them. Open the ears, the inner ears. The inner sight. Innocent sight. Yeah, connecting back to the child within us all as well. We were never here to do it for the earth, just like the earth was never here to do it just for us. There's this big movement of, you know, the earth is going through this, this and this and needs our help. Yes, of course. Everything needs our support. We're part of the ecosystem. But that comes from taking responsibility of ourselves and feeling what's going on for ourselves. Okay, part of the ecosystem does not mean we're the whole ecosystem. And if we found ourselves being everything to everybody, yeah. The invitation this week is to look at how sustainable that actually is. In being everything to everybody, we could be nothing to ourselves. And that's not going to, it's not co-collaboration. Okay. Energies this week and how to best navigate them. There needs to be a pause. There's so much knotted up relationships, timelines, stories. Okay, the High Priestess. Yes, we are in very intuitive waters here. On this deck, you can't just walk in. You can't just connect to the collective without any respect for yourself within it. You know, it's going to be limited. You can't just want answers. Okay, it's about walking the path and gaining the experience of those answers. That's the intuitive wisdom this week. There's also moments where our intuition is preventing us from the answers. Being mindful of that, because we're not ready to receive them. We're not ready to hear them. We're too busy trying to run ahead of what they may mean. Now, intuition isn't based on the outcome. I'm very aware of the irony. I'm doing a tarot reading, right? It isn't based on the outcome. All tarot cards are a reflection of where we are in this moment. The outcome is then based on our understanding of that. There's going to be big emphasis on getting caught in the past. That's from a very linear understanding of time. If time is infinitely looped, we cannot be caught in the past. We cannot be so far ahead in the present, in the future, all the time we're present. We're encompassing it all, and it's changing through us, through our ability to stand, to be between the severity and the mercy of everything that's going on, to be the balance and to be the bridge, not to be one-sided. Now, that doesn't mean we should focus on just the light or just the dark or in between. It doesn't mean any of that. What it means is to recognize we are the bridge, to acknowledge our part of the interpretation that is coming through and to stand in that. That's what we're being asked to share. Just like every other comment in reply or every other response or reaction in reply, that's what we are all being asked to share. Monday, we have the Empress again. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and the Ten of Swords again, Saturday, Sunday. Overall, it's all people. The major arcanas that we have this week are the High Priestess at the bottom of the pack and the Empress. Taking that intuitive wisdom and creating with it. Recognizing we are the creativity of our intuitive wisdom as well, the world around us too. Growing in our feminine maturity. I don't mean gender. I don't mean separation of these things anymore. I mean in feminine wisdom, the all-encompassing, the earth, the all-encompassing embrace around all of these energies, allowing them to grow. Intuition is just a hind little sight of what could happen. It is how we create with that makes it possible. When you have a reading, this could happen. What are we going to do about it, if anything? Because that's the other half. That's the other half of this life. It's the other half of looking into information. Otherwise we get caught in that mental loop of outsourcing, whether that's recognition from others, whether that's what do I do about this, this and this from others, whether that's love from others, worth from others, financial assistance from others. It's not to say that we're not part of this system, okay? But if we're constantly seeking outside of us, we get caught in this mental loop. Get the information for where you are. You cannot be prepared for everything. We cannot be prepared for everything, because that would take away the whole point of living life. Yes, I'm aware of the irony. I'm doing a tarot reading, but in these cards, it's all people now, other than the High Priestess and the Earth, other than the High Priestess and the Empress. Gain insight, but acknowledge by doing and experiencing, you gain the other part of it. The wisdom. There is such a difference between knowledge and wisdom, and that difference is application. That's what we're being asked this week. Application. With the Empress on the Monday. And if you're going to go over anything this week, let it be the connection to the mother. If you're going to go over, and that's our physical mother and our earth mother and our own nurturing abilities as well. If this situation was a child, whether that's our attitude, whether that's what's playing out in front of us, what would be the most nurturing, motherly thing that I could do to this situation? What type of mother am I being? Whether that's creativity, so the frustration I felt this morning, oh my God, yeah, I get very frustrated as a mother. I have one child and I love my son, but one was enough. I wouldn't call myself I am a very nurturing woman, but I wouldn't call myself a very patient parent sometimes. Especially nowadays, the way my sisters parent their children are so different from my son. He's like 25, and I had him at the right time for me, shall we say. I wouldn't have that kind of patience. So when frustration comes up, I know that's an opportunity for me to connect to my body and look at where I'm not being as compassionate as a nurturing archetype as what it could be. And then I can see where I haven't been that way for myself as well. So this week, whatever's going on, whether it's something you're trying to create, whether it's a situation in front of you, particularly on the Monday, how can I be the mother in this? Where am I being too much of a mother? Where am I, over mothering or smothering? That's what I hear, over smothering something. Really look into what that means for you. What does creative feminine energy mean to you? Is it this constant do, create? Is it the Empress that we once saw, or have things changed in how we see the world? And where do they need to? I'm going to add that part because, yeah, there is a lack of connection to the earth herself, and a lot of old stories being shared because of it. I'll leave it there because the rest will be my interpretation of it from a place that I've yet to integrate, and that's really important this week, particularly as we move into the Page of Wands on the Tuesday. I'm being drawn to look at the energy overall, which is the Five of Cups. And yes, of course, it's that grief energy. We have this I've seen a lot of people talk about these two different worlds. Separation again, right? The separation wound. Now, that's not to say that things haven't shifted. How do we see dimensions? Are they different places and different times and different energies, or are they lattices upon lattices of the same thing but in different depths, in different densities? The Five of Cups here is encouraging us, grief-wise, to let go of this unnecessary separation. Let go of this them and us, teacher and student, 3D and 5D, or 10D or 12D, or sun and moon, or, sky and earth. They are all encompassing. And a lot of the grief that is being caused is this division. Okay? We divide things so that we can understand it, so we can compare. So, on the medicine wheel, the soul will separate. We will separate from the higher self and go out on a physical journey and discover things so that we can compare and understand. you know, in our own unique identity. But then that information gets brought back to a situation. We're forgetting to complete things. We're forgetting wholeness and unity here. Overall, that's the energy this week. That's the difference between the High Priestess and the Empress. The High Priestess goes into the underworld. Think Inanna, think Persephone, goes into the underworld, lets go of everything that she is. Okay, every identity, everything that we are clinging to, lets go of it all and finds her true source, and then returns to the surface with that information in the form of, or because of, Demeter, the Great Mother. And that's what's happening. The Great Mother is saying, you've got all of this wisdom, all of these insights, all of this experience, all of these lessons. Bring it into your everyday life now. Rather than initiating over and over the dark night of the soul for ourselves and for her. Now, that's not to say things aren't happening around the world. Of course they are. Of course they are. They always have been, and that's not downplaying it. That's an encouragement to look at our own perspective of that and what we're actually being asked to do about it. On the Tuesday, we have the Page of Wands here. Is there anything else to answer? Well, I mean, gosh. We have the Page of Wands literally facing the Page of Swords on the Wednesday, and then the Knight of Swords into the Ten of Swords, and the temptation to run ahead to try and figure things out. That's what I can feel. So come back to the Page of Wands. What makes you want to continue doing what you're doing? As, of course, as Jupiter goes into Leo, what sparks you? What ignites you? What spurs you on? Pause. Take a moment. You know, we're going to have the whole Jupiter and Leo rah type energy. I've talked about the Ra, the RA. We're going to have this energy, this expansive lion's heart. You name it, we're going to have it. But stop just for a minute. Pause. Look at things from a new angle, a new perspective, yourself included. Come back to what brings you joy. A lot of the times we get frustrated, we're overwhelmed. And a lot of the subconscious information is going to come through in overwhelmed nervous systems. This week in particular, with Mars in Gemini, it's going to, there's going to be a lot of reactivity. So pause, come back to the heart, ensure you are in a place of wanting to do what you are doing as much as possible. There are some things that frustrate us, and the last thing we want to do is go over it again, but top up your cup. Make sure you are grounded in your own light. The need to prove will be a lot less. The overwhelm as a result will be a lot less. If we knew how close we were to figuring things out, to moving forward now, spiritually and therefore mentally, we'd realise we've got time and that we can just enjoy our surroundings. Just enjoy our surroundings. Be mindful of being smug. So there may be times where we look at things kicking off and think, oh, thank goodness that's not me. I'm so... Okay, but that situation still is. So have some compassion. Hold space where you can. Wait for the world, the situation, the environment, whatever, to catch up. To simply catch up. Forcing never got anyone anywhere. If anything, it does the opposite. We cannot listen to new information when we are in a trauma response. It is that simple. We cannot get new wiring in the brain when we are disconnected from the body. It's that simple. So pause. Just pause. We then have the Page of Swords. I realise that I'm nearly 50 minutes in. The Page of Swords here. Now, what I notice about the swords in particular, actually, for the most part, is the ego in the background. Allowing that higher perspective to guide us. Not grasping at straws, not trying to get more information than is needed, but trusting that the wisdom that we have gained is enough to move us forward. Again, we have the Page. This is early stages. When we're uncertain, when our mind starts to run off with itself, pause. Let the thoughts do what they want to do. They may come up with some different ways of seeing things. Too often we judge our thoughts. You know, yeah, I get frustrated with things. And, you know, there's sometimes when I feel guilt and shame for that. I think, oh, I should know better, just like I do with outside situations, right? And there's that knee-jerk reaction to get rid of that. Just sit with that. It's okay to have these thoughts. And, you know, that's where I really feel my throat almost closing over. There's a lot of communication that is being silenced. A lot of truth that is being silenced from within us because of our own judgments and views of it. Now, whether we like it or not, that is still our intuition. That is still how we feel. Intuition isn't just about figuring things out. When did intuition move from being our emotions to having to understand what to do about them? And that's where we have the Knight of Swords. That's where we have this, without pausing, wanting to rush in, to sort out the young mind, to sort out the young spirit. Come on, grow up. Come on, figure this out. Come on, know better. And look, I've already shared it over and over in this video. I get it. I get frustrated too. Pause. Is that a motherly thing to do? Is that, you know, supporting people to find their own way? Or is it on your timeline, convenient to you based on your expectations? Where is that coming from? Who really doubts where they are and the information coming in? I know when I'm frustrated with other people, it's because I'm frustrated with myself. Be honest. This week with some humor. We're so young. We're young mentally and spiritually, and you know, we're here on this physical world to discover our soul, not to have it all already figured out and known. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. On the Friday we then have the Ten of Swords, and that eagle, that higher perspective has stopped. There's nothing more to be gained here on the Friday. On the Friday it's the completion. On the Friday, we will see where we have not just been betrayed based on the reactions we would like, but where we've potentially betrayed ourselves based on the actions that we would like. On the Saturday, believe it or not, all of that shit show rigmarole brings forth more dependability in the King of Pentacles, more and actually I do see the royal family here, so I do see the Ten of Swords on the Friday and the King of Pentacles on the Saturday. So there may be reasons for different sovereign male energy to come in. And that's all I'm going to go into there. But on the Saturday, everything that happens is an opportunity to look at what is fulfilling us, look at what has grown around us, and finally, and I will say finally because I can really feel it for myself as well, recognize how dependable we are, how much we have expanded, how much we have evolved. One of the most immature things as a species is the lack of acknowledgement for ourselves and the continual seeking of it outside of us, normally from those that are unable to see it themselves because they're a reflection of where we are, right? So if you're struggling to identify with how expansive things have become, or, you know, if you're struggling to find a different perspective, stop looking in the same places. If you're thinking, oh, you know, I don't feel as if I've grown here, or I don't feel as if anything is changing here, stop looking in the places that can't, won't, aren't ready, to reiterate this same narrative that has become dependable. There's a lot going on with comfort zones this week. You know, this weekend I've really chosen to push some of my vulnerabilities, to gently lean into them, because I don't want to grow from them anymore. There is no growth available from that way of being anymore. So looking at the things that have reached their peak with gratitude, bringing back that energy now and putting it into something that is going to help you become more stable and secure in who you are. Yes, that could be new ideas. That could be new creative ventures. You know, So far in June, I've spent a lot of time applying for different things, different jobs, different ideas, different ways of being, with curiosity. And it's interesting because I don't even know, we could be moving, there's so many different things that could be happening, and there's the temptation to do none of it, to wait for everything to be sorted first. It's very restrictive. Yeah, it's very restrictive. Do what you can where you are and explore that and have fun with it. On the Sunday, we have the Page of Cups. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yes, on the Sunday, we have the Page of Cups. We have, this is actually my heart. This is how I see the world. This is my truth. And this is the intuitive voice that the earth is asking me to take forward. This is my return to innocence, not in a youthful, ungrown way, but in a light-based, source-like understanding of life itself. I'm going to leave it there because I'm going to run out of time. And what more is there than the appreciation and experience of living for the sake of living? Take care, and I'll see you next week.